What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today is the day that we've all been waiting for. We've asked for so long for the Pokemon Go PvP system to get fixed, for the game to work, just the bare minimum, right? To make sure that all the battles work as they're supposed to. But today, they have finally pushed an update to refactor the entirety of PvP. Now, the underlying system, while it's going to feel a lot like the old system with PvP, it has been reworked from the ground up. Nothing about this system is part of the old PvP code. Basically, it is completely redone, revamped, refixed. I don't even know what else to say. It is going to be able to be a completely separate system that should, on paper, I mean, obviously we haven't tested it out yet, but it is going to be a big update, and it should make sure that the game is so much more competitive. Now, I was actually given a unique opportunity here to interview a Niantic developer about this new system, talk about everything that's changed, talk about how they designed this from the ground up, and basically get a little bit more insight to behind the scenes of the Go Battle League and the PvP system as a whole. Now, I do want to apologize. For some reason, my webcam quality is a little bit lower in these interview sections than I'd like it to be, but that's not what matters here. What matters is the interview itself, listening to what the developer has to say about this new system. Once again, I'm very excited to be seeing how this system's going to be going forward and rolling out. I hope it is everything that we've been waiting for. This is going to be big. So let's get into the interview and see exactly what is this new PvP system. Hey, I'm Axon. I'm joined today with Ben Lee, a Pokemon Go developer. He's going to bring us some news about the current updates here to the Go Battle League system. Ben, please introduce yourself. What do you have for us here today?
Yeah, so I'm Ben. I'm a staff engineer at Niantic on the Pokemon Go team. I lead up the battle system team, and we just dropped, I guess, a big post about the upcoming changes for Pokemon Go PvP. And just going a really high level, I guess, big news drop. We redid the whole thing from the ground up, reimagining of the entire system based with a very big focus on consistency and on reliability. So that it lines up a little bit better with what our players would expect on a competitive system like this. The current PvP system, there's a bunch of flaws with it, right? And we would like to get it to a point where it's closer to, I guess, like what the vision should have been, which is consistent skill-based battles at a pretty good responsiveness, obviously given your phones and stuff, right? But like it's we owe it to the players to make it so that it's a experience where I guess I'm not the person throwing my phone against the wall anymore. So yeah, that's where we started, right? And looking at the system, we decided, hey, look, there's just so many issues. Let's just build it from the ground up. And that's exactly what we did. We spent a solid amount of time reworking how the system itself is imagined, the core concepts around it, how it talks to the servers, how the game itself on your phones will actually work. So from the ground up, this is a brand new system, and it should improve our responsiveness times for reports such as issues or any like misconfigurations that may happen. So that's where the ground up vision came from, right? So this is coming from, I guess, for those that don't know me in person, I used to be a heavy Sylph competitor. So this is like what I imagine the game should be like. And obviously there will be a slight difference between me competing years back versus top class players like yourself now. And yeah, so it's going to be fully based on the simulation now on the server. We basically got rid of a lot of the existing problems, such as like if you just stop tapping and just like nothing happens, you don't know if anything's going on, stuff like that. CMP ties, chargement priority ties, where two players use the chargement at the same turn. Turn-based recognition of all events. So for example, if you tap, right, for a fast attack, this is all recognized on turns now explicitly rather than derived from time, which is a lot more prone to latency, lag, as people commonly call it. So we've basically overhauled the entire thing to be ideally more deterministic and consistent.
Okay, that's good to hear. I know there's been like ever since, oh man, I think it was like around NAIC 2022,
Mhm.
there is this mechanic in the game. Us as a player base, we call it damage registration error, where
Yes.
sometimes a fast move will do damage before you throw your charge attack, and sometimes it'll do it after. Is something like that going to be a lot more consistent now with this new update?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So like one of the biggest changes is actually the damage registration ordering. So previously it was a lot based on like the order in which things hit the server, right? So for example, if like you somehow lived on top of the server and you hardwired in, right, you would be instant, right? Your fast moves would just get through all the time before your opponent's charge move would get through, for example. Obviously, there's a lot more nuance to it, right? That's very paraphrasing of how the interaction would work. But in this new system going forward, we actually will register your charge move at the beginning of the following turn. So for example, we're on turn 5, right? And both of us have, I got a charge move lined up and you're able to get a fast move going. In this case, what happened at end of turn 5, up until the very last 499th millisecond, I guess 0.999, repeating, you would be able to submit your fast move, all right? And then after that, and if I've already submitted my charge move, beginning of the following turn on turn 6, then it would actually resolve and would start into the charge move sequence itself and pan the camera, etc. So that should eliminate all of these weird DR damage registration errors, and as well as sequencing. So especially around things like simultaneous feints on single turn fast moves, which is also a big thing at the end of the game. It will lead into more ties, obviously, if like you're registering a damage all at the end of the turn now. These simultaneous KO situations will, I guess, surface a little bit more, but we're still beholden to the internet, right, in your phones. But the system itself is now much more deterministic to the point where we can turn by turn see exactly what's going on nearly in real time. So yeah, it's been engineered from the ground up for scenarios like what you're asking about for DRE and stuff.
You also address the like one turn moves.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes.
they don't allow the simul KOs and stuff. There's a lot of odd inconsistencies though that I've seen in the game that have popped up over time with this old system. You know, like way back in the day, there's something called a dirty swap where if you had a CMP, you could swap out after. Is this new system going to be a lot more stable, where it's going to be harder for those things to pop up, or if they do pop up, it's easier to diagnose and fix?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, like I've been saying, right, we're still beholden to the internet. We're still beholden to
Yeah.
your phones, right? Like one of my test phones is 8 years old, and let's just say it plays the game way worse than my more modern phones. So you still have situations like that, right? But in terms of just like consistency around like swaps, right? That's another thing that we've changed. Swaps take precedence over actual attacks landing. So, for example, if I were to swap on the same turn as you doing a fast move, my swap will resolve first. That means that you will consistently get that swap off before the damage lands. This is a pretty large change. Yeah, I noticed your reaction. Pretty large change in the interaction, but it will be deterministic in that like your swap will always happen first, as long as you get it within that turn, right? Obviously, if you just so happen to try to submit it on the very last millisecond of the turn and like you lag more than 1 millisecond, which is pretty normal, yeah, you're gonna miss it. But if you're tapping furiously, like most players would, yeah, you should be able to get it.
At like regional tournaments and stuff, especially where
Mm.
normally the connection's really good. The connection's like it's just right across the way. You might even have Ethernet plugged in, like
Yeah.
hardwired connection. So at events like that, in the past, we have had situations where even with good situations, sometimes the game might not be as consistent. But it seems like this new system, as long as you have a good connection
Mhm.
and everything's good on your end and your opponent's end, hopefully it should be pretty smooth. Hopefully, way fewer matches under review at tournaments and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, and speaking of matches on the review, one part of the question that I missed answering previously is it easier to do diagnose issues? Yeah, we've actually reduced our bug triage to resolution time by a magnitude. Like, I'm not kidding on that. It used to take a very long time to figure out what the heck is going on. You've probably been in tournaments where like something would happen to review it. I might have been the person there helping you guys look at the logs. But now it's like I can pretty much tell you exactly which turn, what exactly happened, and what you tapped on. So like we've improved our diagnostic abilities and our tooling pretty dramatically, to the point where it's like as long as you guys are able to give us your trainer name and a timestamp, we could basically look up what happened. Um,
Okay, wow.
so it's gotten a mile better, and that will automatically give us the ability to triage bugs and be able to address issues much faster. Obviously, we're still beholden to release timelines and stuff, right? Like we still got all the approvals from the app stores and the rollout plans and Pokemon Go being such a large game, right? We also got to be aware of all the events and all the happenings within the game. But yeah, we should be much, much, much faster.
How about the feel about the game? Like, I know right now there's like this difference between doing a
Mm,
PvP battle and doing a
yes,
Team Rocket grunt. Is that the
yes.
kind of feel we're going to be having for this new system, or is that still like under test right now in this current format?
Yeah, yeah. The TGR system, Team Go Rocket system, right? Within Pokemon Go right now, as well as the team leaders when you go into the battle menu, from the Pokemon menu, hit the battle, scroll all the way to the bottom, past the QR codes and everything. That's the I think I personally think of it as iteration one. We've done a ton of testing, and that includes people in the WCS circuit itself, so your peers, as well as people who are very large names in the community, as well as various panels within people who are not just like casual casual. We're talking like Ace Plus. We've had some Legend Plus players as well, um, thousands and thousands of games to look at our responsiveness in our game field, right? So yes, that was a large area of feedback. The team and I are fully aware. I read everything on socials. So, all the people are like, Niantic doesn't read. Well, at least I'm reading. So I try to read everything, positive or negative. But yes, the improvements are pretty dramatic. To the point where like the playtest groups are just like, yeah, this just feels better. Just like maybe one or two rough edges that we're still ironing out right now. But by the time we're fully activating worldwide for all of our trainers, you guys will feel it. It's way, way better. If you were playing GBL right now, if you were on the WCS circuit, what would you want, right? What would make you frustrated? Let's look at that, right? The engineering costs we could deal with. Let's just make it good. Let's make it fun. Let's make it what we intend it to be.
Yeah, make it consistent, right? Make it so everything that you do is deterministic and you know exactly that every action that you take it's going to be in your control. And I
Yes.
myself have had my fair share of, maybe match errors or something on stream or something like this has happened.
Yeah.
Like to a lot of people, even
Mm-hmm.
in GBL and in the competitive circuit, and I know GBL sometimes. Like I have no idea how GBL works behind the scenes, but sometimes there seems like there's days where GBL has more issues than other days, things like
Mm.
that. Um, is is this like PvP system as a whole tied into like any other parts of the game where maybe if there's an event going on it would be more laggy? I know that's like a um, something that people in the community think like sometimes when there's a calm day going on or a big Go Fest
Right.
event sometimes it slows
Right.
things down. Is that at all going to be a thing or is that even a thing now?
I think I can go into this a little bit of the architecture itself. There's actually going to be a talk at GDC, that Game Developers Conference, coming up next month, where I go a little bit more into technical detail for those of us that are, I guess, a little bit more close to the engineering part of it. But just high level, yes, the existing system currently is slightly impacted by live game events, right? So, for example, if a a community day is happening, or like a Go tour is happening, yeah, the general consensus right now is probably don't do your sets there, especially if you're on your Cliff to Legend, right? Like that's not a great idea. But upcoming, we've actually moved the servers that are hosting Go Battle League, or PvP in general, over to a new set of servers. They are shared by various other battle architecture systems, such as like Raids and DGMax, and I guess TGR and leaders. But this is a separate system with its own, I guess, setup and loads. So it's a lot more specialized. And because it's more specialized, we have a lot better control over the latency and the responsiveness. So that should give us a better, I guess, experience overall, even during high traffic events such as Community Day. Pokemon Go as a game overall, we have like overwhelming like reception, right? I'm sure we all remember when the game first launched, right? Like our servers went down because people loved it, right? I hope to replicate that success minus the servers crashing. So yeah, like in extreme loads beyond our wildest imaginations, yeah, we might have some hiccups, but we will do our very best to improve our monitoring and our response times. I mean, my phone's just sitting off screen right now, but like, yeah, I get paid because I own these services, right? And yeah, like, how do I put it? It is a lot more stable than one could ever imagine. Like I see the numbers, they blow me away. And I'm just like, oh, the servers never really go down and they rarely ever hiccup. And that's kind of amazing. So like we have the confidence coming in from Raids and Dynamax and Gigantamax, to know that huge traffic spikes, unless they're like, I don't know, 10 times higher than what we're expecting, we're going to be fine. So it should be fine going forward, especially during large events because we will plan for those situations.
This is like the current thing that's going on here with PvP. Is this whole overhauls happening? Is this like gonna be it for any PvP updates? Just gonna be an
Oh,
overhaul with this system? Is there like you don't have to go into specifics with like anything. It's like completely confidential. But like, is there more for PvP down the road that's getting thought of? Maybe a Go Battle League rework in any way with the actual fundamental systems itself? Because I know GBL's been basically the same interface, 5 sets a day for the last 6 years, that kind of thing. Is there down the road anything that's going to be like that would be looked into?
well, I mean, as you probably guessed, right? Like, can't really talk about the GBL system itself, where this overhaul was largely focused on the core fundamental parts of PvP as a battle system. The GBL functionality, yeah, can't really go into that, but rest assured that like the battle system itself is evergreen. We've invested a lot of resources and a lot of planning. There's actually a 26 or 27 page document internally of me specking out what the battle system should be like. And it's being referred to a lot because, well, yeah, battling is a core part of the game. So we want to make sure that like we support it going forward.
I know that for like the last couple of years, people have always been like, is the game ever going to get fixed? Is it ever going to be to a state where it's a lot more consistent, more deterministic in a situation where maybe some people who might not have been willing to compete at a competitive level,
Hmm.
maybe they'd be more willing to go out and compete at a regional or an international event, try to get a world's invite, because now if the game, is actually going to be working 99% of the time, maybe 100% of the time, we probably never 100% because of the internet.
Yeah.
But, if it's going to be more often than not, the game is just gonna straight up work, and under the right circumstances at a regional event, especially where it's optimal conditions. I could see that very much being a big boon to getting more players into the scene.
Of
And I
course.
mean, honestly, right now it's kind of crazy how many people are getting into the scene. Like the European International that's going to be
Oh yeah.
happening this year. It's already like over 500 people signed up for that. That's the largest tournament we've ever had. I love to see that it's not just something here that we love. It's something that also is going to be getting worked on and maintained here going forward here into the future.
Yeah, of course. And speaking to the WCS circuit, uh, we're actually making like we've actually made some changes to make sure that this rollout, as we move on to this new system, will have minimal impact to the WCS circuit. So that's probably something that's going to be concerning, right? The 500 plus players that are at UIC, the I don't remember how many people for Seattle Regionals coming up, right? Like that's where I live, right? Like let's not mess that up. So we have plans and contingencies around that to make sure that we're not impacting the WCS circuit and to minimize that. Obviously, like with any new system rolling out, it's not going to be perfect, right? Like I said, but I am actively monitoring everything. Like one of the screens is constantly on Reddit and X and Twitter, and my Discord groups are very active when I make a mistake. So there's always that. And then I've always got the local community that I used to go to tournaments like 3, 4 times a week that are just pinging me nonstop as soon as I mess up. So yeah, we're going to keep a very close eye on it. Hopefully this does bring in more players. Should be more consistent. Another thing that's fun note is that I mean I mentioned my 7, 8 year old phone that I test with sometimes. I've also tested on like 3G networks. It works for the most part, but it's 3G. So if it plays on 3G, it should work pretty good on 5G, especially in the larger cities. And LTE seems to work okay. I'll probably make a trip out to my parents' place in like suburbia, like middle of nowhere Canada, and see what happens. But like so far, it's this new system seems to be more tolerant to latency. Obviously, we lag more in a turn. Can't really help you, right? Like, but generally speaking, it feels better.
I mean, I don't think people could really hear much better news than that, because that's all they can really control is get good internet, queue up in the Go Battle League, try to play the games, and once the game starts to actually be more consistent and work more, that's exactly when I think it's going to start growing even more than it has already. It's I don't know. I feel like this game is very unique. It's unlike a lot of other Pokemon games, right, with a battle system here. The main series games you have turn-based combat, and I mean Pokemon Go has turns itself, but it feels
Yeah.
a lot more live action. It feels like, in my opinion, a
Mhm.
lot more. It makes more sense. It's like Pokemon battling. They're not just standing around, waiting to do their turns. So I
Yeah.
love this system so much. I could understand why it's potentially a little bit of a hard thing to sometimes make optimal, and like why it has been such a struggle here over the past few years to like actually revamp it completely and make it so the system is fully ready for a competitive circuit like this. And I mean, everything I've heard so far seems to just point to the fact that as long as, there's no like huge unexpected system breakdowns here, that when the whole broad player base gets through, this system should be able to really fulfill the expectations that we've been really hoping that the game could.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And like, I mean, if we get the PvP community up to like our raid volumes, right? Like, let's do it, right? Let's go. That's the design, right? Like, it's designed to handle like millions upon millions of players simultaneously going at it. Yeah, let's build the community up, right? Like, and I think that's another thing is like, as we get the final kinks ironed out, right? We're going to continue improving the system. So it's like, it's not like we're going to get everything ironed out. Okay, good state, done, dusted, next thing, right? Like I've been saying, we're going to be making sure Pokemon Go PvP is looked at consistently. At the very least, I'm going to keep staring at the messages and be like, I wonder if that's an actual issue or not. To the chagrin of my producers. But that's a different story.
So in the past, I guess another question I have here is there's been people who think, like potentially you guys can only work on like one thing at a time. Like if there's a Go Fest coming up, everyone's going to be on board working on the Go Fest. Let's say like a big PvP issue happens and there's like a big event going on. Is there going to be like someone that could fix it during that time to make sure that it's not just going to be some downtime in GBL where there's big issues popping up?
Right. Right. So, I mean, you're talking to the person who, I guess, debugs most of the issues. Like I triage most of the stuff to begin with, as I guess the main expert and designer of the system. But let's just say the team is a lot more multifaceted than you would like imagine for the outside. Like we've got teams that are dedicated on certain features, right? For example, like we had a team before Dynamax Gigantamax launched, there was a DG Max team. But at the same time, like if something does go wrong on the live service, like on the live service for Pokemon Go, people will be pulled for that, right? It's not like exclusive or. So like the game working is first and foremost. It functioning is first and foremost. Obviously, there's competing priorities, right? Like if it just so happens that like this tiny little issue on this one in a million use case happens, then does that compare to, all of raids not working, right? Like there's a balance. And I think over the years, we've gotten better at trying to figure out like, what do we do first? But at the same time, because of these improvements to all of our battle systems now, I guess once it's fully rolled out, our velocity, engineering speak, our time to resolution will go down pretty dramatically. And it will help not just figuring out like, oh, PvP is down, why is it going down? And how many players is it impacting? And what do we do? That loop will tighten and become a little bit more responsive.
Nice, yeah. I can see that. There's a lot of people that can work on the game. It's not just like one person's stuck in a corner fixing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Is there anything else about this new PvP system that we haven't really talked about yet that you want to talk about? Anything? I don't know. Is there anything mechanically that feels different about this system now?
Yeah. So like, so one of the main things that I feel is going to be very impactful is the charge move resolution itself. As we all know, when you tap on a charge move, the camera pans. You either do a swipe mini game for the attacker, or the defenders choose a shield, no shield, or if you don't have a shield, then I guess you take it and you just hope you survive. But the resolution will always be the charge move results first. So for example, if you proc a Night Slash and you get your stat stages up for your attack, that'll happen before the fast moves that leak into your charge move happens. So this will be important for things like Brave Bird, right? Like I fire Brave Bird, it debuffs me. If you just had something that would have not killed or knocked out my Talonflame or whatever, right? And like I debuff myself, well, here we go, right? You might not survive it anymore. So that's like a very large interaction change. We stabilized zero turn swaps. To be very clear, that this means that on a feint, by intent now, very clearly, is that on feints, we call it a force swap. It should be free in that zero turn. On the end of a charge move, during your flyout, the camera pan back out, and during the actual animation, if it's a solar beam, the big beam coming, blah, right? Those sequences, when you decide to queue up a swap there, that should also be free. The only times that a swap should cost you a turn is in like a quick swap when you use the side tray on the right-hand side of the screen. So that's a pretty large change. I guess it's like one of the first times we've actually acknowledged exactly what's supposed to happen. And that's like by intent now. If it doesn't work that way, complain, let me know. People have my contacts too. So it's like if you complain loud enough, it's gonna wind up in my DMs and be like, okay, let's get this looked at.
One final question that I really had that I want to know about
Mm.
is there's some unique Pokemon in the game, right? We have already Morpeko and Aegislash that have their own special mechanics here. When they were released in like the old system, they released with maybe some strange bugs with them or like some strange things about some quirks about their form changes. How does the new system compare when handling Pokemon like that? Is it smoother with using those Pokemon? Is it easier to add more Pokemon like that in the future with those kinds of mechanics that are not quite as ordinary?
Right. Of course, I can't really talk about the upcoming Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a big surprise for everybody, right? Yeah, those that know me, one of my favorite Pokemon is on that list. I'm just like, right. But yeah, the new system is much easier to work on. I guess a little bit behind the scenes. Aegislash took, I think, a month and a bit to build. We took just barely 2 weeks to build on a new system. So if that gives you an idea of how much easier it is to build in this new system, the fact that everything's living on an actual timeline now makes it so that it's a lot easier to sequence events and customize them without, I guess, requiring a client patch. So like you might not be needing to be forced to a certain upgrade for a certain version of the game so that it actually works properly. Obviously, like the initial launch, you're going to need to upgrade, right? Because, well, we need to activate this new thing. But the new system, since it lives on a timeline, it's a lot easier to sequence events. So, for example, Aegislash's form change, right? When you do shield, right, it switches into shield form. When you get attacked, it switches into blade form. All those sequencing things live exactly on a timeline, and we can actually, they used to be covered all over the office in design, but like various like events living exactly at what turn, right? When do we expect Aegislash to transform into its blade form? On turn 50, on turn 54, it should be done transforming. On turn 55, we should be panning the camera back, and by turn 59, it should be done, right? Like, because of that sequencing, because of the timeline and the event and effect system that the new system is based off of, the Pokemon Go's PvP system and battle systems are just way easier to work on and just more deterministic.
Yeah, easier to work on, easier to add like down the line if there's any new
Yeah.
systems or features or Pokemon or anything like that. It's more flexible with things like that. You can add in and
Yeah.
customize just a lot better.
Yeah, of course. Like I've kind of alluded to, we built the Dynamax Gigantamax system on top of this thing. So like all those like cinematic pauses, the big flares of like, oh, you're doing a Tournamax and stuff like that. Like all that is possible. And that also means that like the PvP system itself can also do things like this. Obviously, like we're not gonna like go ahead and add cinematics in the middle of the battle, right? But like yeah, it makes it so that we're just a lot more flexible, right? Like our development timelines are just smoother overall. And testing just becomes easier. So it should be, I guess, cleaner in terms of the whole end-to-end flow, development and getting it to our players so you guys can enjoy the new things.
Ben, do you have any final words for us here about this new system? About if you have any feedback for it, who to send it to, anything like that?
Yeah, of course. So as usual, we monitor all of our communications. Like if you reach out to us on socials or the in-game support pages, anywhere really. Just as I was mentioning, screen name, your trainer name, times, super useful. Obviously, clips would help, but I mean that's if you're available for that. But otherwise, please try out the new system. Right, it should be much more deterministic. It should be a lot more reliable. A lot less anger with oh no, it didn't work properly. And so hopefully this brings us closer to what the intent is and give our players a much better time with the Pokemon Go PvP. So jump into GBL as soon as I guess it's available, and we'll see you online.
You better believe I'll be trying it out as soon as I can here. Thank you so much, Ben, for taking your time out of your day to do this. A lot of good information here. I'm excited to try it out myself.
Thank you.
Now, I haven't gotten my hands on this new update myself just yet, but I am very excited to try this out. I've been waiting for so long for the game to just work, and I'm really hoping that this new update is going to deliver everything that we could possibly have hoped for. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this new system, if you see any bugs, anything, let me know in the comments below. I'm really excited, though, going forward to see exactly how this new feature is going to play out, and I hope that it's going to be exactly what we want. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.